guess that started when I was watching TV shows and films when I was a teenager. And for some reason, it seemed like every main character, every badass character, every special character was a redhead. And I guess that formed some kind of a conclusion in my head that I would be a main character if I was a redhead, or my life would be much more interesting if I was a redhead. And as a loser teenager, that was all I wanted. But the main character I have to say thanks to is probably Lydia Martin from Teen Wolf. I was obsessed with that show when I was about 14, maybe. She was something else. She inspired me to develop my own story. I was creating back then, and the book I wrote a couple of months ago. Back then, she influenced my whole personality. I related to her a lot because she wasn't just a typical bitchy girl or a typical popular girl stereotyped in TV shows of that sort. She was a mix of everything. She was smart, she was gorgeous, she was complicated, and I love complicated female characters.
I know archaic Latin.
You know archaic Latin.
I got bored with classical Latin.
Plus, if you were active on Pinterest or YouTube back then, about 2014, 2016, she was the it girl. Her hair, everyone wanted to replicate one of her hairstyles, but there were a lot of YouTube videos showing tutorials on how to do her hair. And later I noticed that the more shows, films I watched, my attention was drawn to female redhead characters. That includes Merida from Brave. Not sure if you would consider her a redhead, but Hope Michelson from the originals and legacies. So I guess that desire to be a redhead bubbled inside of me. And actually, when I was in high school, I experimented with red hair. And that's a long story in itself because I grew up in quite a conservative Muslim household, and dyeing our hair was prohibited, but we still did it, and it was reprimanded. We got in a lot of trouble and experienced quite a lot of trauma because of it, but we still did it because no matter how hard you forbid your children to do something, they will still do it, but you just won't know it, or they will be ready for a conflict, but we still will do it. Anyways, I chopped my hair off about here, and I used a store-bought box dyed bleach, and that wasn't a very good experience because my hair, I actually didn't dye my roots, so you can see my natural hair color. My hair color naturally is quite dark, it's black. So of course, if you're a teenager, you are not sure what you're doing. There were not that much tutorials as you can find now. So I pretty much messed up my hair, but I was still happy because I was wearing the hair color I associated myself with. And that desire to be a redhead went with me throughout my whole life up to a couple of years ago, I believe even just a year ago. In spring 2023, I finally decided that I'm ready to be a redhead. I was working in my first big girl job, as you would say. So I was straight out of uni, and I was starting to make my own money. And that was quite an impulsive decision. Although I wanted to be a redhead, it's quite hard for me to make big decisions. And I was feeling down that day, and just out of whim, I made an appointment in one of the town salon. Although I was pissing myself, I thought that it's time to make some changes. But now, as a grown woman, I was trying to make smarter, better decisions. So I did my research. And as a person who strongly believes in color analysis and color theory, although some may consider that an old tale, an old technology that we should all wear whatever we want, wear the colors we want. I do support that, but I do believe that there are certain colors that match us better than other colors. My natural palette is quite dark. I have a pale skin, I have brown eyes, and my hair is pretty much dark brown black. I figured that a quite light red, quite light ginger wouldn't suit. I would be better off with maybe auburn, maybe dark copper. When I went to the hairdresser I made an appointment with, I explained that I didn't want a rather drastic change. I showed my references, and I guess we went maybe a shade lighter. So we didn't use bleach. We just used a developer and a hair dye. For me, that was enough to feel like a different woman. I went a couple of months with that hair color, and I realized that now I'm ready for a bigger change. I was looking at myself in the mirror and I didn't see redhead. It was just like reddish brown. So I went in the same salon, but different, like a building. So that hair salon where I went to for the first time, my hairdresser was an incredible professional. However, he was quite expensive. He told me that because it was my first time with him, he would do me a discount. But next time, because my hair it was quite long, like now, and because that takes a lot of time, a lot of material, he would charge a lot more next time. So now that I felt safer with the coloring process, I knew it a bit more, I was researching it, I thought that let's do something a little cheaper. I went to the same salon, but to a different hairstylist, and that was a disaster. I explained to the hairdresser that I wanted my hair a bit shorter. I even remember I showed her like up to my chest, and I showed her the so-called cowboy copper. So it was quite dark with reddish copper. I just told her that I don't want anything yellow. The first red flag for me was when I saw how much hair she has chopped off, because she started with chopping my hair. She even chopped off some more when she blow dried my hair. She chopped off my hair for about here and here and here. That's a pretty drastic difference, right? And when I saw myself in the mirror after she had finished doing my hair, I was shocked.
I put my orange 4-inch door hinge in storage and ate porridge.
I didn't quite realize at that time what I was looking at. I even liked it. I was so confused. She did a couple of photos of me. I went outside. I paid for everything. And I had another appointment that day. And when I went inside that building, I was looking at myself and I even took that picture. And I was thinking, why do I look like that? So anyway, let me tell you what she did. She bleached my hair, first of all, and I guess that's the right decision because I wanted to go much lighter. And since if your hair is colored, you can't bleach it just with a color and a developer. You must use bleach. So that's not what I'm mad about. I'm mad about the color level she chose, because she dyed me at around 8 to 9 level, I think, because it was very, very bright and very light. I was very upset, but I still tried to rock that hair. Thank God that my hair grows quite fast, so I just used a bit of rosemary oil and grew out my hair for my comfort level, because since my hair is so long, it's also quite thick, and I lost all trust I had in hairdressers. I decided that it's better for me to save more money, but learn this process myself, since I'm not seeing any time that I would want to go back to my natural hair or change my hair color in general. So I started researching and I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and I guess the creator who helped me the most with my red hair journey was Annabelle. She's a professional hairdresser and she makes a lot of videos about red hair, and she's not shying away from sharing her formulas. Her videos seemed so simple to replicate that I decided to dye my hair myself. At that time, my roots were gigantic. I had two goals: to dye my roots and to fix my length to match it to a level 6, level 7, whatever happens. So I took her copper formula, which included Igora level 6, 5, and 7. So I mixed those 3 colors. I took an Igora developer and I dyed my hair. And of course, because that was my first time, I didn't really know the process. I used a 20 level developer on my roots and the same developer on my length. And that was my mistake, because I remember the first time I dyed my hair, it was quite messy because my roots weren't light enough and my ends weren't dark enough. And another mistake I made, because it's so hard to dye your own hair, I had streaks throughout my hair of different colors, like somewhere it was light, somewhere it was dark. So what did I do next? Of course, I messed it up even more. I ordered Igora bleach, because I've learned from Annabelle that you can't go lighter on colored hair without bleach. So I ordered Igora bleach. I think it was Blonde Plus, because I've heard that the other bleach they have, it's not true to color, so it has blue pigment and it messes up your perception of the hair lift while you have bleach applied. And I mixed it in with a 10% developer and applied it on a chunk of hair just to do a strand test. And when I saw the result, I figured that a 10% developer would be too harsh. It lifted a lot. It was much lighter than I wanted my dark pieces to be. So basically, I was trying to get an even color throughout my hair. So I researched that if you want your bleach and developer to process slower, to lift not as much level as it does, you must mix your developer and bleach with hair shampoo. So I did that and it turned out horrible. In the back of my head, the pieces I was trying to lighten, they were like the lightest color ever was, like pretty much pale yellow, because your head, it heats up the bleach, so the process speeds up and intensifies. So there were a lot of mistakes I made trying to fix my hair. That was when I found hair glosses. I started with a Wella hair gloss, and that somehow sort of created an even color throughout my hair. But it was still bugging me that I knew that I can put my hair in front and you wouldn't see that my hair is messed up. But if you were to pick apart my hair, you would see that it's awful. And it was bugging me. So I decided that I'm not touching bleach again. I just need to simplify my routine. That was when I started thinking for myself, not just watching tutorials, and started to experiment. I really liked Igora colors, and they are like one of the best brands for redheads because they have such a big variety of colors. I just decided to pick one color which I could use throughout my hair with just different developers depending on my roots or my length. I found out that probably the color which suits me the most, which is best for my needs, is Igora 6.77. That's a level of lightness I'm comfortable with. I think anything darker than 6 would be too dark, although I think I would be pretty comfortable with a level 7 even now. I'm deciding to stick with a 6. What I'm doing right now, the regime I figured for myself, is that I very rarely apply hair dye to my ends. So everything you see here is mostly it's just hair gloss. That's still that bleached hair from the time my hair was bleached at the salon, the second time I went to a hair salon. So that's bleached hair with the level 6 applied to it. So the hair color you see here, it's quite dark, but it's not that dark that it shows on camera. It's just my hair with a 30% developer and a 677 color. And right here, you can see just the beginnings, like about an inch, is my natural hair. Although I really like the color I have here, this 677 put on unbleached hair, I find that I'd rather go a bit darker, like here, just without bleach. I'm never touching bleach again because that's a separate issue. I still haven't figured out a perfect routine to get my healthy hair back. It might look okay, but you know why? Because I have a half a bottle of coconut oil on my hair and you wouldn't even tell. It just absorbs it because it's so dry. And I can feel that where my hair is not bleached, it's still fine. Like my hair was luscious, glowing, soft, and I'm not ready to sacrifice my hair health for color this pretty. I'm still thinking about switching to 777 because I think this color, 677 on non-bleached hair, might be a bit confusing and might seem from a side that it's just brown hair, and that's not the effect I want. I want people to look at me and say she's red, not she has brown hair. But that's a difficult issue because I'm not sure if my 677 part would lighten up enough to become a 777. But I've learned a trick to lift colored hair for a level or 2 from Annabelle again, using a transparent color and a developer, so no bleach. I might try that, but for now, I'm looking forward to do a haircut and then we'll see what I'm going to do next. But too much experimenting, always changing hair colors, I'm still afraid to do that because I'd rather have something dark than constantly mess up and change colors because it's very hard to fix it yourself. And another thing I wanted to talk about was the weird method of dyeing my hair I developed for myself. Because it's quite hard to dye your hair, especially in the back, I figured that using technologies gives me a bit of an easy way out to do so. So basically what I do is I plug my phone, just like now, on a camera stand, and then on my iPhone I turn on iPhone mirroring, so basically I can see whatever happens on my phone on my laptop. And I turn on camera on my iPhone, then I turn backwards towards my camera so the camera can see the back of my head, and I look at the back of my head on my laptop, if that makes sense. So I can easily see what I'm doing in the back of my head. So that's how I managed to color my hair evenly, even in the back of my head. So that's the routine I figured for myself for now. I'm always trying to make it simpler, make my skills better, be happy with what I'm looking at in the mirror. If you have any questions about red hair, I think I might give you some advice, but of course it's always better to consult with professional hair colorists.